Olá, pessoal. Boa tarde para todos que nos assistem no Brasil. Boa noite para todos que nos assistem no horário da Europa Central. Estamos começando o nosso primeiro webinar do ano, mas o nosso quinto Women Community in Privacy. E nós temos, claro, nesse momento, não tem como a gente não falar, o tema mais em voga no momento é inteligência artificial. E o que a gente está trazendo sobre inteligência artificial? Quem está mais avançado nisso? Europa AI Act, muito perto de ser aprovado. E o tema do nosso encontro de hoje é justamente responsabilidade, né, dentro da cadeia de valor de alto risco de IA, através da cadeia de valor de alto risco de IA. Então, como a nossa convidada especial, temos aí a Petruta Pirvan, e eu vou fazer a introdução em inglês. Como vocês já sabem, o nosso diálogo vai ser em inglês, mas eu vou dando algumas traduções em português para quem quiser ir acompanhando e fazendo as perguntas no chat, ok? Hello, fellows. How are you? I hope that you'll be fine. Good afternoon for who stay in Brazil or Latin America. Good night, who is in Central Europe. We have our first webinar this year, our 5 women community in privacy, and our top at this moment now is responsibility along the value chain for high risk AI. And we have a special, very special guest. Our panelist is the Petruta Pirvan. I'm not sure if I call your name correctly.
It's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. And so Petruta is a legal counsel. Stay with us to share about some key topics after AI regulation and AI Act almost ready, right? Almost ready. Some dialogues being started. I think maybe they have a consensus, a deal to finish. So please, Petruta, is with you. Please introduce yourself for our target now. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm a lawyer, I'm a legal consultant, and I've been active in data protection consultancy for quite a while now, consulting for a multitude of companies. I've been a DPO. I've also been working in different countries across EU. So my specialization is in data protection, but also in digital law at large. And now, because of the intersection of the AI Act with multiple pieces of legislation, including the infamous GDPR in Europe, here I am trying to connect the dots and talking about the other infamous legislation, which is the AI Act, which, as you said, is almost done. It's almost baked. And we are waiting actually for the AI Act to be finalized, the text to be consolidated and published in the forthcoming months, probably in April or latest in May.
Thank you. So the first thing that we need to explain a little, or we introduce our target, our audience here, is what they need understand or keep in mind about the higher risk when we talk about AI, because people have some concerns or some difficult to understand what means higher risk to AI.
Exactly. So I guess everybody already knows that the AI Act is created around the idea of risks. So it's a risk regulation. And this is clear throughout the text of the legislation. We have a closed list of AI systems which are prohibited because the legislator thought that they pose significant risk or risk which cannot be accepted in the European Union. And we have a dedicated appendix, Annex number 3 of the Act, which is dedicated actually to high-risk AI systems. I will give some examples of high-risk AI systems so that we can also, kind of have a feeling of what that's supposed to mean. So we are talking about AI systems intended to be used in critical infrastructure, like a supply of water, of gas, of heating, these type of services, or electricity. Another category of or another area where AI systems are risky is in education and vocational training, or in employment, workers management, access to self-employment, but also law enforcement. So in all of these domains, AI that it's being used in different contexts is considered to be high risks. And for that matter is regulated. It has a specific regime. The legislator actually imposes a lot of obligations throughout the value chain, I would say. So the compliance obligations created throughout the AI Act are not imposed only on the providers of the AI systems, but also on the importers, distributors, and then deployers of the AI systems. So, and I would like the audience to know that instead of users, the legislator has changed this term of user of AI with deployer of AI. So I'm using the terminology that the legislator is using right now. We have 4 stakeholders in the AI Act. We have the provider, we have the importer, the distributor, and finally the deployer. So for the high-risk AI systems, all of these stakeholders have their obligations laid out by the legislator, and of course most of the obligations are imposed on the provider of the AI system, which is kind of to be expected, because it's the provider who actually puts the system or creates the systems, design the system, and then puts the system on the market. So that is what it's supposed to be, a risk or a legislation which has been baked around the idea of risk. I would also like to, before we leave this maybe this topic behind, I would like to let the audience know that the closed list of prohibited AI system or is made of AI such as AI that uses some sort of manipulation or deception, which has the capability to distort the behavior of individuals, and obviously through that lead to significant harm, or AI system that is capable of exploiting vulnerabilities of individuals, of group of individuals, but also social scoring systems or facial recognition databases, which are made of data that have been scrapped from the World Wide Web, for example, or systems that are capable of inferring emotions in workplaces or educational institutions. So these are few examples. The list is much more, or is longer than this, and I think you can find it in Article 5, if I correctly remember, of the AI Act. Of course, you will have to satisfy yourself for the moment with the leaked version of the AI Act until the official version is going to be published in a couple of months, as specified earlier. I think you are on mute, Alessandra.
This is an interest point, because in the end, they split these stakeholders to share the responsibility, right? And they determine why is the created what is not acceptable, and what is acceptable but have a higher risk. I'm not sure if the immigration is in prohibited. Some use of AI is prohibited for analyze immigration things. I think so. I'm not sure if higher risk or prohibited. Please remember me. I'm not sure.
Exactly. Immigration is on the list of high risk AI systems. For example, systems when systems is intended to be put into service for immigration purposes or for law enforcement purposes or for asylum, seekers purposes. Yeah, so there are specific obligations. It's on the list of high risk AI systems.
Uh, you discussed some right risk about AI systems, and what is the discussion of potential impacts and ethical challenges in terms of regulation,
Mm,
oversight, and enforcement? Because they share the responsibility, they definitely they create the stakeholders. Each stakeholders have your role and your responsibility, but this is the first challenge because
mm.
I have been work with information technology industry, and sometimes they you try say no, I'm not a provider, I am no, maybe I am a broker, or they try slip slip like
That
this.
that's a great point, actually. Well, one of the most difficult parts will be for the providers of the AI systems to make sense and to justify otherwise that the AI systems that they provide to the market are high risk or they are not high risk AI systems. It's very interesting because no matter what, if they will decide, or their assessment will show them that this is not the AI system in course is not a high risk AI system, still they will need to notify the authorities. They will need to still register the AI system in the registry that will be created at the EU level. Sorry. No matter the outcome of the assessment, they will still need to justify. So it's a determination that they will have to do. And obviously, as you pointed out already, they will have to make sense exactly what capacity or what qualifications they have, because depending on that, obviously they will have to comply with different type of obligations. And if they are providers, indeed they will have to bear the heavy load of a full list of compliance obligations they will have to follow, basically.
I think when we talk about the enforcement, this is the big challenge, right? Because developers said, no, I not developed this. This is a thing that provided change. No. I am just a supplier. I'm not sure as I see much this when we talk about, for example, the privacy laws. When we analyze this big tax case, for example, the scandal with Cambridge Analytica said, no, it's not me, it's Facebook, and then it's a game. One pool for other, and nobody wants to have the responsibility in the end. And
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
this is the big challenge when we talk about AI, because if we have developers, suppliers, end users, sometimes maybe the end user poison the AI system. And one thing
Mm-hmm.
that I see, I am a enthusiast. I study very too much about this. I read many different articles, and I see one thing. And usually I said, The AI is not intelligent. Intelligent is us. We create this. The AI is just very, very well be trained. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
insert too much uh, garbage, they will give you a something that you don't want, like a result, like an output.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
how you think that what in the role each actually ensure the safe and the ethical, how we can split for each stakeholder your responsibility about the ethics, because when we talk about the AI regulation, we cannot lost in mind the end user, because maybe the end user can be is a point of failure in in the chain. They can
Mm-hmm.
poison the model.
Exactly. You raise so many interesting points. One of and I'm getting back to your question. But one of the very interesting point that you mentioned is that we are intelligent. Artificial intelligence is not exactly intelligent, which reminds me of something which Kate Crawford has said, also the author of Atlas of AI, which is an amazing book. If the audience didn't read that book, I warmly recommend that book. It's an eye opener. So she said the same, and I was thinking while you were talking about the difference between conventional AI and what we have right now with generative AI, ChatGPT, which leaves or crosses the border of the conventional AI as we knew it up until now, to step into the capability of autonomy, making decisions in an by being autonomous. But coming back to your very interesting point about responsibilities and liabilities, who is going to be liable in case of actually the deployer not using the system as it's supposed to use the system. So one of the obligations that providers of the AI systems have, according to the AI Act, is to give instructions to the deployer, and therefore the deployer has the obligation to use the system in accordance with those instructions. And this is for the lawyers then to pick up on debates around liability. Who is going to be liable in case the system actually creates a harm? Is the provider of the AI system, which maybe failed to design some or failed to test the system or anything of that sort, or is the deployer of the AI system which actually didn't use the system according to the instructions provided by the provider? So the deployer, and I mentioned already, this is the user basically of the AI system, is also subject to a set of obligation when it deploys the high-risk AI system. And one of the key obligation with important consequences for liability discussions with the provider is that the deployer must use that high-risk AI systems with in accordance with the instructions from the provider. When a company or when a customer suffers damages following the use of a high-risk AI system, the AI system provider main argument will most likely be that the deployer did not use the system in accordance with the instructions of use. So, these are things that if we have lawyers in the audience, it's good that they would think about them in advance. Maybe they are doing contracting, they will need to cover their company's back through clauses, through contractual clauses that would stipulate exactly who is liable in case of yada 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 situation. And do not forget also that the deployer has the obligation to have human oversight to the extent possible, and also to monitor the input data and operation of the system. So that's also another layer of liability. If it fails to do so, the deployer itself could be liable for failures, for misbehavior, etc.
I think that's when I talk about regulators and ethics. The challenge is how we like a data subject can prove that some AI system uh, cause damage to us, because in the end I work with technology, but we can
Hmm.
imagine someone that don't need they, for example, try to uh, employer vacancy one website to try a job, and they don't
Mhm.
know if this website have or not some kind of API using LLM,
Hmm.
large language model, enfim, some kind of AI system to analyze your experience and maybe make a pre-selection for this resume, personal resume
Mhm.
for the
Mhm.
vacancy.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
uh, maybe after many deny, they think, oh, I'm not good for the market because I subscribe myself all time and I reject all the time. How one person that even don't know what is behind this web vacancy system can try understand or can try fight for your right, because in the end people don't know when they use or not AI systems. Many
Mhm.
companies say we have AI. No, it's not AI. It's just automation. No,
Mhm.
don't have intelligence.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
sometimes they have, and they not explain this correctly, properly for the data
Mhm.
subject. And the data subject suffer again and again and again, and sometimes maybe they give up. How
Mhm.
we can I think this is the first challenge.
Mhm.
Educate the persons about your rights, because in the end, when we talk about the right higher risk for the AI is for the data subject rights. You cannot
Mhm.
achieve a job, you cannot achieve a house, a car, or I don't know, any kind of financial aid or financial uh, institution that you ask for credit or something like this. This for me is the most concern, because
Mhm.
everyone talks about we use AI to improve our efficiency and give more facilities for our customers, but in the end it's not this. How we
Mhm.
protect these persons, protect these rights, how we can educate these persons, because I think the first challenge is informate, give the information properly. We have this problem with GDPR and LGPD in Brazil. They don't give
Mhm.
the correct information. And then how we can explain to these persons and try ensure they will have your rights
Mhm.
preserved
Mhm.
or protected.
Mhm. Mhm. That's indeed heavy topics. There is a right of individual to be informed, created by the AI Act, right to know, so similar to the right to know, and is kind of having two layers or twofold, goes into two directions. So individuals basically have the right to be informed that they have been exposed to high risk AI systems or other type of regulated AI systems. And also individuals have the right to request information when they have been significantly impacted by an AI system within this scope. I'm not sure yet I understand the extent of these rights, of the right to know, so to put it. But I can see your point of companies failing over and again to find the right formula to to communicate, basically to give the transparency, which is one of the pillars of the of the privacy legislation, as you said, Alessandra, but also of the AI regulation. But you also raised some very important points there about, the advantages of the AI, which are obviously, highlighted by the companies selling the systems. And should be told, we do have AI tools which are helping people with disabilities, for example, which are, solving, or they bring a progress in solving one of the world biggest issues, which is climate change, which is such a huge problem. So we have machine learning that can improve the climate informatics. So we have a lot of use cases for the benefits of the technology, but on the other side, and I'm coming back to what Kate Crawford was saying in her, throughout her interviews, but also her Atlas of AI book. She raised the problem of bias, but she said, using bias to showcase the dangers of the AI is a too narrow term for the sort of problems we are discussing. So we see these systems, and I'm pretty sure that we have colleagues listening to us who have maybe used ChatGPT. So we see these systems producing errors. Right, and as you said, discrimination. Women offered less credit by credit worthiness algorithms, where black faces being mislabeled, and what we can see from the companies creating the systems from the providers. They say, well, we just need more data. But the problem is not the amount of data they have, is more related to the accuracy of the data they have. And it's more related to how the systems have been trained. So training data sets used for machine learning software that casually categorize people into just one of the two genders, that labels people according to their skin colors into, I don't know what racial category, or assigns label to people based on their looks, where assigns moral or ethical character according to the looks of the people. This is, quite scary. So what the AI Act is doing to kind of temper all of these potential harms, of course, is to impose compliance obligations, to impose a conformity assessment that providers will have to go through, which is a heavy lift, actually, and that imposes assessments of the AI system, but also fundamental rights impact assessments. It's true that there are some systems which are exempt from that obligation, but some of them will have to go through all of these check and balances to make sure that providers are proactively discovering potential harms, and they are taking mitigations measures against those concerns before the system is actually pushed on the market.
This is a good point. You talk about the Atlas of AI. I see this book in London the last year. I not buy this book, but I buy other, the number of Bias, and one other, and that I read and I like too much is the Kate O'Neill, Mathematical Algorithms of Mass Destruction. And I see coded BS, it's amazing. And he have a concern about this AI system, because one thing is the information, the right to be information properly, right? You need use a language that your target, your audience can be understand. You cannot use a language that maybe like if you it's the same like you speak Greek, for example. You can use a proper language first, and second, people don't understand the impact for your rights. And when I ask for the rights, the protect the data subject, I talk more about these examples, for example, that Kate O'Neill mentioned in your book about, for example, they use a score system
Mm-hmm.
to, for example, criminal convictions, to try uh, understand if this person have more inclinated to take or commit another crime or not, based on some kind of data uh, is not clear. Is not. This is like maybe hide or I don't know, and you cause damage for this person because in the end you put more persons because the color or because the neighborhood in jail than the real persons that are danger for the society. And at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, they have another program for evaluate the schools, high school, middle school, and the professors, the teachers, and they fire many teachers because they. So who will recover or repair the damage for these persons? There are victims, these AI systems, these automate decisions using a kind of scoring system using AI language models, large language models, to process all this data because they love data. They want more and more. In the end, they will look at us and say, "Oh, today you don't sleep well. Back to the back to the sleep,
Mm-hmm.
or you don't look like good to drive. I will lock your car." What the hell? Maybe they want this, I'm not sure. And in the end is like the code that said, they have control about the people, and you move the
Mm-hmm.
people according your interest. This is a big concern to me. I love technology, but I see many persons that they believe what they find in ChatGPT, what they find in TikTok, what they see in TikTok. I said, oh my god, the brain
Mm-hmm.
people are solving. And I don't know, they lost the mind. I'm not sure what happened because the people really and not understand, but they follow the technology. This for me is the most dangerous
Mm-hmm.
impact when we embed AI systems in this technology and give to the people. Oh, it's free. No, it's free. You use the product. But okay, I try to
Mm-hmm.
explain this, but what do you think?
Exactly.
How we
Yeah.
can cover or repair this? Because the damage is done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, you raised so many interesting points, and while you were talking, I was thinking about the predictive police that that you alluded to, and I was thinking about a great movie which is Minority Report with Tom Cruise. It's old, but if people didn't see it, it's really captivating, and it's about predictive police and exactly using kind of a AI technology to predict, um, you know, uh, um, criminal behavior, basically. Well, predictive policing is on the list of the prohibited AI systems in the AI Act, and the rationale behind of being on that list is, as you already hinted, the logic is faulty. So if more police is dispatched to a certain neighborhood, it clearly follows that more crime will actually happen in that neighborhood. So it's essentially what we are dealing with is a feedback loop, which provides a skewed version of where crime is taking place. And another issue at hand is the allocation of police resources rather than social services. So instead of, communities, whatever, instead of allocating all of those resources, money they spent on police, they could redirect that money, those resources, into social services that would help disadvantaged people, or would create programs for disadvantaged individuals to actually, leave that place of impoverishment, social needs, and so on. So there is much debate, for instance, about whether the role of police in certain poor Black neighborhoods also tends to create a police state environment in which citizens do not feel safe. They feel like, they are targeted, and there are strong arguments that more funding for mental health or other social services would actually better serve these communities. So when machine learning algorithms are fed this data to train their predictive systems, they replicate this type of bias. They reinforce the false ideas about which this and that neighborhood is more high risk than the others. Um, if that makes sense. And another book that comes into my mind for the French speaking community or French speaking individuals is Elodie Lamer, which is L'œil sécuritaire, a great book that actually is based on studies that the author has made in specific neighborhood behavior of the police and the feedback loops that I was just talking about.
This is good point. When we talk about this situation about the surveillance and oh, this data is good because with this data we have a surveillance in this area, this camera, we can predict some kind of crimes. But I read in some place that one thing, intelligence, we make we make us humans, and it's not just the intelligence but the feelings, and how we can put the reason, the intelligence, the creativity, and the feelings to work together. And because these
Mhm.
sometimes we are so unpredictable, and AI is so predictable. She make decisions about
Mhm.
analyzing historical data. So
Mhm.
according to
Mhm.
your historical data, your
Mhm.
baseline is this. So sounds that you repeat the partner, this historical data.
Mhm.
In the truth, they don't make great predictions. They
Mhm.
have like a probability scoring according to the historical data they have about you or something point. For example, the count of clicks that you have in some kind of uh, announcement, some kind of Facebook posts or something like this. They suggest you another content or another advice advertisement for shopping according to this. But maybe you just click wrong. For example, you forget to close or block your cell phone or your tablet. You give your tablet for your a child. For example, in my case, my nephews, they click on something wrong, and never more I stop to see this advertisement. It's but in the case of AI systems function, we have some kind of benefit. How you said, I see this in the health. institutions to monitoring when a person falling down or the medicines, this kind of thing. It's very good. And I think this is a high risk because involve safety, human integrity, but I see value in this. But when we talk about crimes, I share the concern because people maybe can change, and
Mm-hmm.
I see that the public policies can change this. Like you said, if they invest in public health or mental institutions or mental programs for the persons, or I don't know, any kind of jobs, because sometimes people just want to have your dignity back. They want to have a
Mm-hmm.
job and pay your own bills with no one to, or it's no financial aids outside. And I see this is a point when we talk about this value chain. What is your opinion about this legal responsibilities arise from the AI Act? Because
Mm-hmm.
maybe we have many people employed because
Mm-hmm.
they lost your work because oh now we use AI to efficient because AI don't not sick, not stay sick or tired or don't have
Mm-hmm.
child or something like this. They will be replaced for some
Mm-hmm.
autonomous or automated decisions using AI. So you see some kind of impact about the AI Act and this effect, or what the legal
Mm-hmm.
responsibilities from AI Act in your opinion? Your highlight you can highlight about this point, the social impact, because people are concerned about your jobs, your works, and it's about this kind of predictions too. But I don't believe
Mm-hmm.
in prediction. They don't predict. They just read the historical data and say, oh, according to this, the probability that you repeat this behavior
Mm-hmm.
is 90%, 8%. So you will be a criminal or something like that.
Mm. And how frustrating it is to actually be the subject of decision by a system, sometimes not even knowing or sometimes not even understanding how it works. So I think, it's we we have already the GDPR, which is giving us protection against us being subjects to automated decision making, except for cases when we give consent after we have been transparently informed about an AI system being utilized. Um, but and also we have the AI Act, building upon that. And what I would say, so what protections we have, and if AI Act is kind of giving us that protection, is certainly does, and I think it's important that it's going to be finally adopted, or finally, written down and officially published, because it does create some guardrails, some protections for individuals, for society. And for those professionals thinking, oh, how we are going to help our companies to to comply, or to show to the public that we care, that the company cares, and that the company is willing to comply with all of the obligations imposed by the legislation. There is a list of requirements for trustworthy AI, which has been created by a group of high level expert group on AI, commissioned by the European Commission, and there are at least 7 foundational principles that have been advanced. So I would advise them to follow those, to follow those exactly to preempt or to prevent creating these damages that you exemplified earlier, Alexandra, for the public. And that would be human agency, human oversight. Oversight, over the system, human in the loop, human on the loop, human in command. And then, resilience of the AI systems to any attacks that could jeopardize or could, hijack the system and, force the system to misbehave and create some sort of damages. Privacy and data governance. So data, the accuracy of the data is very important. The quality of the data, the quality of the data sets is very important. That's another foundation principle that this high-level expert group created. And then transparency, again, something you pointed before, Alessandra, is very important, to explain so that the public can understand exactly, and the users of the AI systems can understand exactly how the system works. Obviously, without giving, intellectual property protected information, but at least explain how the system works, etc., and communicate. And then diversity, non-discrimination, fairness is another principle, right? So avoidance of bias, of unfair bias. So that means that your companies will have to put in place oversight process to analyze the system, to address the system's constraints, requirements, and so on. And then, stakeholder participation is another important thing that you might want to cover. Consult stakeholders who might be directly or indirectly affected by the system throughout the system's life cycle. So it is beneficial to ask regular feedback even after you deploy the system, and also to set up longer mechanisms for stakeholder participation, consultation, participation through the implementation of the systems. And last but not least, where maybe another pillar is social and environmental well-being, right? Because we know that behind these systems there is a huge energy consumption, and also social impact and society and democracy. Go ahead, please.
No, this environment pilot is amazing, because people forget that for we create these AI systems, we need a computer power, and this computer power needs energy, water to keep freezing, and minerals. So you need the environmental. So you
Exactly.
need to preserve this, because in the end, this impact to ASG is directly you extract the environment, the minerals for the build these chips, microchips, these computers, this computer, these power machines. So, and the energy and the temperature, you need to keep the temperature very very low. So all this consume environmental resource,
Exactly.
and this impact the persons.
Exactly. It's not very tangible to us. Maybe it's not creating a direct harm, or it is somehow creating, but we cannot feel it in our daily lives, or we cannot touch it too much. But the fact is that the development, the deployment, the use of the AI system, and the entire supply chain basically should be assessed in regards of critical examination of the resources that the system needs to use, and energy consumption during training. And so you should advise your companies to opt for less harmful choices in that sense. So measures securing the environmental friendliness of AI systems, entire supply chain should be assessed, and you should advise your companies to go for the less harmful choice in that sense. And then, also accountability. It's important that you advise your companies to have some sort of audits. To have visibility, or auditability entails basically enablement of the assessment of the algorithms, of the data, of the design processes, and have some sort of reporting of the negative impacts that you have identified, or your companies have identified. It's important to identify those negative impacts, to assess them, to document them, because that will obviously make it possible to adjust the system, if possible at all, or to avoid the same mistakes when you design the next one. So use of impact assessment, algorithmic impact assessments, for example, not only before the development, but also during the development, and also during the deployment of the AI systems, could be useful, so that you can minimize those impacts, which they are there, so you cannot avoid them somehow. And this would allow you to redress. Basically, this will allow you to put in place mechanisms to redress, to basically to mitigate the flaws that you have discovered. And throughout all of this process, obviously take into account vulnerable individuals or vulnerable groups, if those are being exposed to this technology, basically.
What is your strategy, or what kind of strategy you recommend for effective sharing responsibilities about this value chain when we talk about a right risk AI? What kind of strategy you recommend to
I
stay in
think
compliance with the AI Act and other AI laws that will be soon?
I do feel, or I do take as a point of reference the AI Act, because I think it does create a balanced, or a balance between each of the stakeholders' obligations, in such a way that none of them is completely held liable, which would be completely incorrect. I think legal professionals needs to take into account the fact that no matter on which side they are, maybe they work for a importer, or a provider, or distributors, they will need to know that certain legal obligations are laid down in the regulations, such as notifying if the system misbehave. There are, especially in the AI Act, some notification obligations they will have to provide. If we are talking about importer, then the importer must notify the provider. If we are talking about the distributor must inform the importer. Exactly. So there is, a notification chain, which basically, it's very important to follow it, to comply with it, because then whomever did follow the letter of the law can it's in advantage when we discuss liability, can say, I've done my work completely, and then the system misperformed, I informed about this, and then the provider has to look into its own garden and see what happened. So for me, the AI Act as it looks right now, it's, you know, of course, it's not perfect, but still, it's very balanced in terms of awarding the liability to each of the stakeholders in the chain.
In the end, we need a baseline to regulate, right? It's not perfect, but we need to establish this baseline because we need to start in some place. So we start this point. It's not perfect. Okay, we can improve this in the path because we learn with the mistakes and we change, we improve this. In the end, for example, one mistake that I said when they try insert the GPI, generative. Generative is for, when before we start. Remember that I comment to you about the 7 point to regulate AI around the world is a common sense, but I don't see this in any project of regulation because they have one interesting point. They said in this regulation, you need decide if you will make distinction between AI. They call it AI straight or weak, AI general,
Mm,
and
mm,
AI strong. I think that we are very uh, we're not close to a strong AI. We have the weak because we have some specific AI system. They solve one or two problems. If you ask for something different, this they will not solve. For example, we have Alexa, Google, etc. That sometimes I talk to Alexa and she gives me an answer that I said, "What? I don't talk about or Google, for example, when I drive my car and I ask, please, I said address, and in the state that I was born, we have a regional expression, and when I speak this, they never understand. They laugh to me, and I said, what happened here? I give a name for find a place with a regional name, and they laugh to me, smile. Oh my God, nobody teaching this machine, this language model to understand the regional expressions. So they give me a wrong address. They don't understand what I ask, and sometimes happen. This is funny things that happen. And when we look to this, I said, well, we don't have a strong AI. We have a very straight AI. They just do specific things. If you ask something outside, they will give you an answer that no, it's not. It's completely wrong. But we have, in case of generative AI, I think that when we read the concept of what means a general AI, generative is included in this case. Generative is like a general AI. You can create a video, photos, audios, uh, texts, etc. So we cannot have in mind generate what kind of AI. For me,
mm,
the first challenge is this. We need to regulate the AI systems, independence if it's weak or general, but this is approach, including risk approach. This is the way that you can be make a difference between an AI system weak because the damage is or the risk is very low or medium or you can control, or for example a generative that you can create a deep fakes and generate a cause, a chaos. It's
exactly.
deep. So
Exactly. Yeah, I think you have a great point. When because we are talking about this is a risk related regulation, and but which are the risks? And you said deepfakes, and these risks are amplified by these high risk AI systems like generative AI, as you said, deepfakes, digital divide, disinformation, job displacement. You said previously as well, were limited explainability, limited transparency. Feedback loops were, data falsification, and so on. All of these risks are exacerbated by the generative AI, because generative AI, what it does is to create content by its own, by learning from the data sets. And as you said also earlier, put garbage in, you get garbage out. So it's very important what you put into what data you feed into the system, because the outcome is going to reflect actually the input data. And you also said the technology is evolving at such a rapid pace, because initially in the proposal of the AI Act back in 2021, ChatGPT did not exist. So discussions around how to regulate, and I'm happy that it has a formula for regulating generative AI has been found. So discussions have been, ongoing until, late 2023, and have delayed actually the process of adopting the AI Act earlier. But it's good that systems like ChatGPT have been included finally in the AI Act.
And we finally in the end of our program here. But what kind of two things recommendations for the persons that want to study, learn more about AI, about the privacy laws? Because in the end, I said, why this mean for privacy? Because we talk about data subjects rights. In the end, who will be suffer? The data subject, the persons, because maybe if it's not the question about you lost your privacy, but you lost your house, your job, your family, your possibility to build your personality or your personal rights. So this is one thing that we have in mind when we talk about impact. Who will be impact in the end? Persons. So because this for me, privacy and AI working together, like hands together, hands up, and together. And what kind of recommendations do you offer for who want to be a professional in this area? And what kind of recommendations you give for companies that want adopt AI system, but they need have in mind this approach to evaluate the chain, the value chain, and they evaluate the risk, distribute this risk in the value chain. What the recommendations for company and what the recommendation for persons that watching us in this moment.
Great. So what I would say for the companies is that they really need some experts, or people specializing in this kind of regulations that would guide them step by step, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult for them if they don't have support. And I'm not talking about the biggest consultancy firms. I'm
Me too,
pretty
don't worry.
sure. Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure there are many other companies, consultancies out there that can help with their expertise. And for the professionals, I invite them to read the AI Act. I know it's not an easy one. It's quite long, and the leaked version looks also very messy. Um, but beside that, what I would recommend is the very insightful deliverables by the high-level expert group. You can Google it, and you can find it online. The high level expert group commissioned by the European Commission, they delivered ethics guidelines for trustworthy AI, and assessment list for trustworthy AI. And the assessment list is really insightful. It guides you into what you need to assess step by step when you do the assessment against the AI systems. And otherwise, I guess follow LinkedIn, I would say. And I personally get a lot from LinkedIn, following, people working in different groups on the AI, but also newsletters with different NGOs, institutions. There are plenty out there. I wouldn't like to advertise for any of them. So that's why I'm not naming names, but there are plenty, of professional organizations that are disseminating guidelines, disseminating newsletters. So basically, read as much as possible as you can on this matter, because it's going to be at least as huge as GDPR was, if not bigger than that.
Cool, great. Now I need thank you for your time, for your excellent presentation here with us, to share your time with us and your knowledge, of course. And I need uh, have some congratulations for our uh, sponsors in Brazil, because we have many communities in partnership. ONCE Brazil, Cybersecurity Girls, FMIT, and sponsors about IBRASPD, Century Data, Nova 8, and JC Advisor, Vitara, Security AI, and APA Consulting, and our partners, ONCE, Cybersecurity Girls, FIA, and Antebellum. I can have a special thanks for this, our partners and sponsors in Brazil. So I will change for Portuguese to have the thanks and
And
say
thank you
goodbye.
very much. Before you do that, I would like to say it was a pleasure and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Petruta. I hope that we can work in these groups together in the discussions about AI. I have studying about code bias, because this is a point very difficult when we talk about enforcement law. How we can prove that a code is have a bias embedded in the code, because the company will never say no, we don't do this,
Mm,
and
mm,
audit the code. It's a big challenge for
Agree.
bias, because they will not, they will ever hide this. No, 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 we cannot show these. No, these are property, intellectual property. These are commercial property. No, you cannot see this. Okay, give me the see your historical data, your outputs, and they just have a shortcut, or they cut some best results, not all, and you see just a small picture, not a big picture. So it's very hard to explain or to prove that they have a bias embedded in your system. So I think this is the big challenge for enforcement law in the future. Prove this, prove they not have the goodwill, because it's embedded in the software. So uh, I will change the language now to give the thanks for the Brazilian. Ok, pessoal, boa tarde. Agradeço a todo mundo que assistiu a gente. Vai ficar gravado. Tenho que agradecer aqui aos nossos parceiros e apoiadores, o OMSI, Cybersecurity Girls, FIA, Antebellum. Nosso agradecimento muito especial aos patrocinadores do IBRASPD, Century Data, Nova 8, a Vitara e a Security AI, e aos nossos patrocinadores JCA Advisor e APA Consulting. Muito obrigado aos patrocinadores, esperamos vocês no Congresso 2024 do IBRASPD. será em novembro, tá? Só uma palhinha aqui, vai ser em novembro esse ano, na primeira semana. E muito obrigada a todos que assistiram a gente. Vai ficar gravado, podem consultar de novo. Qualquer dúvida, me procurem. And please follow Petruta in LinkedIn. She stay available. She's very nice and very accessible. You can talk to her. Thank you. Obrigado, Brasil. Obrigada a todos.
Obrigada.
Até o nosso próximo.